Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and for this video we will just continue now with other examples of component method. So sige, wag na natin patagalin pa, umpisahan na natin. So ayan, we have here another example of component method in getting the resultant vector now of a certain problem related of course sa vector addition. So we have here Anna wants 4 meters 40 degrees north of east, 2 meters 30 degrees south of east, 5.20 meters 30 degrees north of west, and 6.50 meters south before stopping for water break. Find the resultant displacement from where she started. So ayan, apat ngayon ang ating vectors, and 3 of these vectors ay may angle. And aside from that, if you already watched the previous video, yung problem natin doon ay pang force, meaning the vector present are the forces, no? This time, yung vector sa present ay displacement. But the processes are still the same. First, you have to solve for the individual components, the x and y components ng isang vector through this formula na nandito sa right side. So, f cosine theta for the x component and f sine theta for the y component. So, pag nahanap na natin pa isa-isa, no, yung mga components ito, mga vectors, we can now get the summation of displacements. In this case, i-add natin sila, or in some cases, we will subtract them. Pero technically, we are adding the vectors. And then once meron na tayong summation na magsosolve natin, gagamitin natin yan to solve for the magnitude, the value ng vector, and then the direction, yung angle. And then later, we also have the specific direction, kung north of east ba ito, south of east, or south of west, or north of west. So, yung mga ganoong case. Naunahin na natin. 40 meters, 40 degrees north of east. Dahil may angle present, we will use a trigonometric concepts, no, to solve or to find the x component of this vector and the y component. And again, for the x component, f cosine theta. Okay? Pero since we're dealing with the displacement, instead of f, gawin na natin siyang d. Okay, but again, this is just a general formula, the present. Depende yan sa kung ano yung vector. Pero since displacement, edi pwede natin palitan as d. Nonetheless, ganun pa rin ang process. So, 4 cosine 40 tayo ngayon, and we will have 3.06 meters as the x component. And take note, positive. Okay? Kasi may times na pwede tayo mag-negative. Positive yung ating 3.06. Kasi, di ba, north of east? And ang direction niya along x-axis is east, or along the east side. And if you're recalling the Cartesian plane, di ba, nasa east side ay positive. Di ba? Yung nasa right side ng Cartesian plane. So, dahil dyan, magiging positive din ito. Same goes with the y component. F sine theta naman ang gagamitin. So, dahil dyan, 4 sine 40 tayo ngayon, and we will have 2.57 meters. Again, positive. Kasi yung y direction niya along this north of east ay nasa north. Okay? And of course, in a Cartesian plane, yung north side ng Cartesian plane ay positive. So, ayan. Meron na tayong individual components ng vector na ito. Next, 2 meters 30 degrees south of west. So, ganun pa rin. This time, yung main vector natin ay yung 2 or the 2 meters. And then, yung angle na gagamitin ay yung 30 degrees. So, for the x component, we will have 2 cosine 30. And we will have this time negative 1.73. Of course, lalabas sa calculator ninyo positive 1.73. Pero bakit siya magiging negative? Kasi 'di ba, ang direction ay south of west. And we're dealing with the x component, yung direction na nabanggit along the x component or along the x-axis na meron dito is yung west. And syempre, along the Cartesian plane, yung west side, yung negative side, ito yung nasa left side. So therefore, yung ating value ngayon o yung x component nito ay negative also. Okay? Same goes for the y component. However, this time we will have 2 sine 30 degrees and magiging negative 1. Negative kasi yung direction along y-axis ay south. And again, pagka-south, negative. So yung dalawang vector sa present dito ay negative. Next, 5.20 meters, 30 degrees north of west. So, ganun pa rin, f cosine theta. For the x component, we will have 5.20 cosine 30. And ang sagot natin, of course, lalabas sa calculator, 4.5. Pero, gagawin natin siyang negative because ang direction niya along x-axis ay west. Tatandaan nyo lang, along x-axis, it's either east and west. Kapag ka east, positive. Pagka west, negative. Along y-axis naman, we can either have north or south. Pagka north, positive. Kapag ka south, negative. Now, for the y component, 5.20 sine 30 naman. And this time, positive ang ating component, 2.60 meters. At bakit siya positive? Kasi yung direction niya along y-axis is north. And lastly, we have 6.50 meters south. Ito walang angle na bilangget, so walang problem dito. Isa lang ang may component. And again, depende yan sa direction. Ang direction natin this time ay south. So, and of course, along y-axis is south. So, dito lang, along y-axis yung ating component. So, with that, ang x component natin ay 0. Yung y component naman natin is negative 6.50 kasi south ang direction. Now, after natin mahanap yung components, we can now add them along the x component and along the y component. Of course, technically, we are adding the vectors. Pero dahil may mga negatives din tayo, magsasubtract na rin tayo later on. So, magiging 3.06 minus 1.73 minus 4.5. And the summation of displacements or the summation of vectors along x-axis is negative 3.17 meters. Kahit hindi nyo nalagyan ito, okay, diretso na lang kayo na 3.17. Negative, okay, kasi syempre yun nalalabas sa calcul ninyo. And then, along y component naman, so we have 2.57 minus 1 plus 2.6 minus 6.50. We will have 2.33, negative 2.33 meters. And then once na nahanap na natin yung summation ng x and y, gagamitin na natin ito para mahanap yung magnitude through the Pythagorean theorem and the direction through the arctangent concepts of trigonometry. Okay, so yan, mag-Pythagorean theorem tayo by substitution lang. Okay, so magiging 3.17 squared plus 2.33 squared. And by solving the problem, we will have 3.93 meters. Ito na yung mismong resultant displacement natin, part of our resultant displacement, yung parang pinaka-final value niya. However, meron din tayong direction na dapat i-consider since medyo nagkaroon tayo ng mga angles. Okay, and with this concept of the arctangent, okay, so tangent negative 1 times the absolute value, the ratio between the, by the way, this is the displacement, dy over dx. No, so we will have 36.32 degrees. So, nasa numerator yung y component, yung summation along y, and then the summation along x yung ating denominator. And mas maganda naka-absolute value. Although, if you already watched the first video, pinakita ko doon na parenthesis. Acceptable pa rin naman yun. Pero mas maganda na ipakita nyo siya naka-absolute value para mas clear yung ating pagsosolve. Now, nonetheless, pagsamahin na natin as our final displacement, we will have this one. 3.93 meters, 36.32 degrees south of west. Bakit siya south of west? Because yung direction natin along x and y, I mean the summation of forces ay negative. Okay? So dahil mauna yung pang y na direction, y-axis sa direction, dito tayo sa may component, the summation of component along y muna. Okay? Either north or south lang naman iyan, di ba? And since ito ay negative, syempre, nasa south side ito, so south. And then, along x component, negative din siya. So, either east or west lang naman ito. And the west side yung negative, so kaya siya west. So, kaya tayo south of west. So, ito na yung final answer natin. 3.93 meters, 36.32 degrees south of west. Now, I still have here one final example na a particle is being acted upon by the following forces. So, meron tayong tatlong forces na nabanggit dito and find the resultant acted on the particle. So, you may pause this video for a few minutes, try to solve it on your own, and then after a few seconds, ipapakita natin kung ano yung magiging final answer nitong problem na nandito. And there you have it. In this problem, we will have the final or the resultant vector being 9.06 newtons, 24.53 degrees south of east. So ayan, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel para maging updated pa tayo sa mga postings natin in all videos about science and math. Hopefully you learned something from this video. See you next time. Bye-bye.